All right, so based on that last example that we had, that was 3 and 91 hundredths times 6, where we estimated and then checked our estimation, we have a key idea for how we multiply decimals. All right, so our key idea is you make the decimal number a whole number by moving the decimal point, and then after multiplying, you move the decimal back. So back to our previous example. So we had 3 and 91 hundredths. We moved the decimal 2 spaces, and we got 391 times 6, which gave us 2346, and we moved the decimal 2 spaces back to get 23 and 46 hundredths, okay? The idea is move the decimal out while you're multiplying and then move it back in when you're done. So let's do another example. All right, 3 times 0.016, or 3 times 16 thousandths. 16 thousandths is a really small number, so if I'm going to estimate this, I'm actually going to estimate it as 3 the whole number times 0, because this number, 0 and 16 thousandths, is really close to 0. So I know anything times 0 is just going to be 0. So I know my answer should be really close to 0. So it should be like 0.1 or 0.0 something, okay? So let's start by setting this up. 0 and 16 thousandths times 3. And then I need to move the decimal because I don't know how to do this. And I want to move the decimal so that I have whole numbers. So I'm going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3 spaces. So 3 spaces this time. I keep track of that so that I know how many spaces to move it back later. So this top number becomes 16, because those zeros can go away, times 3. Okay, 16 times 3. So 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, so I got 48. And then the last thing is, now I need to move that decimal back 3 spaces. But I move it once, I move it twice, I only have 2 spaces to move it. If I still need to move it that third space, I'm going to have to fill that space in with a 0, okay? And then I put a decimal here. I know that this is kind of tricky, but when you have to move it more spaces than you have to fill any gaps with zeros. Fill any gaps with zeros. I'm going to make a note of that because you're going to need that. Any gaps with zeros. All right, so then my answer is, back to green, 0.048, or 48 thousandths, which is really close to 0. So I know that this is a good answer because it's close to my estimation. All right, let's try one more. All right, so this one's going to be 5.1024 times 12, or 5 and 1024 ten thousandths times 12. Okay, so when I'm estimating, I want a number that's close to that 5 and 1024 ten thousandths. So the number that I'm going to use is just the number 5, because the other numbers past it are really small. So then I'm going to do 5 times 12. 5 times 12 is 60, so I know my answer should be close to 60. Okay, so I'm going to start by setting it up. 5.1024 times 12. Again, I'm just aligning it to the far right. If I were adding, it would be different, but since I'm multiplying, I keep it aligned on the right. All right, and then I just need to move the decimal because I want the decimal to be a whole number. So I move it 1 spot, 2, 3, 4. So this time I moved it 4 spaces. Notice we're increasing the number of times that we move it just so that we get a habit of doing it all these other different ways. So I've got 51024. So 51,024 times 12. All right, let's do that. Start with the 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, done with that 2. Placeholder 0. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. Add those together. I've got an 8, a 2, a 2, a 1, and a 6. Okay, and then I need to move the decimal back 4 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4.